So what we are talking about is prints.
Not Prince. Like not Prince Charles.
No, not Prince. Prince. Prentice. We're going to talk about Printissa and made-to-order items.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Rafi's tips for artists because he loves you.
Somebody asked about my ongoing series, like my Seasons of Change, because those are made to order, and apparently in art school they told them, never ever copy yourself.
Didn't Picasso do like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of renderings of the same images?
Yeah.
Didn't Da Vinci do the same
Yeah, well, Da Vinci never actually finished a painting, apparently.
Never duplicate a finished piece, then?
Maybe that's what they mean. I don't know.
It's technically not duplication if they're different every time.
Yeah. Hola, you amazing artist. I received an interesting question from Mahala Davis. My entire art education had a constantly droning background noise about not copying yourself. As artists, is it okay to create copies of a work in a non-print context? And where does creating a long-term series like your Horizon series versus your smaller as of yet Golden Sunflower series come into play? All right, Mahala. So I don't really care what your art teachers said. Unless, of course, they are career artists who can back up what they're stating with their own successful art career or somewhat successful art career. There are a lot of theories in the art world that honestly just made things much more confusing for me when I was trying to traverse the waters of becoming an artiste.
An artiste!
An artiste! And I do not copy my work, and I spend several months working on one piece. Very emotional about my pieces. Basically, what I'm saying is that anything that you hear in the art world, take with a grain of salt. That includes the stuff that is spewing out of my mouth. There are all these rules to something that is completely creative and constantly changing and constantly expanding and constantly just turning on its head, and yet everybody wants to apply these very firm rules. I feel like the reason that people do that is because they're either trying to take themselves seriously in the art world. Hey, I don't like that piece of work. You know why?
Why?
Because it does not represent realism.
Undisputably, it is crap.
Like, what does any of that even mean? As far as my made-to-order Seasons of Change series, that was a series that I came up with several years ago. What makes it a series is the fact that I essentially use the same colors when I create the piece, but not every single piece is identical. I think that if you have a collection that is specifically made to order, that are using the same elements, like the same colors or the same pattern or the same design, then that is a series that you could create that is made to order. That's perfectly okay. I mean, as far as any like big art world people telling me like, well, you shouldn't recreate blah, 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 blah. In my lifetime, I cannot create enough pieces to saturate the market with my trees. I just can't. So I don't ever concern myself with recreating any of my pieces. That being said, I don't actually recreate any pieces. Personally, because that would be boring for me to try and recreate something exactly the way that I created it. It's just not something that I do. My Horizon collection is part of my abstracts, and it's the ones that always have somewhat of a horizon in them. So, like, hence the Horizon collection. The Golden Sunflower collection is a collection where I have a beautiful woman interacting with a sunflower in some way, shape, or form, and that is designed to show an expression of a feeling or an attitude. Because it has the sunflowers, it has gold leafing, and it has the woman interacting with the sunflower, that's all part of the same collection. Would I duplicate any of those pieces exactly? Never. In every single one of those pieces, the colors and forms and everything will be different, but they will have something that will tie them together as a collection. You know what? Honestly, if you felt like duplicating your work, it's your work. You're the one that created it. If you want to create 50 of them, then create 50 of them.
Yeah, you're allowed.
You're allowed. It's your work. It's your career. You're the artist. You get to decide what it is that you're going to do. Like, don't let anybody tell you what it means to be an artist. You get to decide that for yourself, what it means to be your kind of artist. So that should explain those pieces. And as far as my prints, I have prints that I sell at the gallery that I'm at the Marty Campbell Gallery. And that's because Marty and I have an agreement where he's got files of some of my prints and he's got the equipment to be able to do these beautiful prints. But those pieces basically only sell out of that gallery. I actually create my own prints. These are examples of the prints that I create. These are mounted on wood. And then because all my pieces in real life have a lot of texture, I add texture to my prints. I want anything that I sell to be something that I personally create myself. So my prints are personally created by me. A lot of people have asked about my opinion on prints and how I feel about prints and whether or not I do prints. Prints, not prints. The reason that I started creating these is because I actually struggled with the concept of prints because it makes sense. It makes sense to sell prints. You create a piece once it sells, that's it. It's gone. You don't get to offer that piece anymore. But then the idea of simply having a photograph of my art printed up on a printer and charging the amount of money that most people charge for prints just didn't make sense to me. There was something about that made me feel kind of dirty and raunchy. Like I didn't want to do that to my collectors or to people that wanted to buy my art. So I went back and forth with that for several years. Like I would have prints and then I wouldn't have prints and then I would have prints. Then I finally had the agreement with the gallery where they did the prints at the store for people that wanted to buy prints because I also wanted to be able to offer that to people. But then I still needed something for myself to do. Finally, this year was when I came up with these pieces, and these are something that I'm really, really proud of that I could stand behind. People order them, they come in, they're ready to hang, they don't have to be framed or anything. They can be framed if they want to frame them. Yeah. Those are the prints that I do. Keep in mind that that's my opinion. That was my own thing. There are a lot of artists out there that do prints, and I think that you should do prints of your work. I think that you should be able to market and sell a piece even after it's sold. Make sure that if you're going to create prints, that you are creating quality prints. At the end of the day, my discussion with you is you do whatever it is that you want to do. Ultimately, this is your journey as an artist. You get to define, you get to blaze your own trail as an artist, as the kind of artist that you are. Being an artist is about self-expression. It's about being who you are, staying that wild, creative child that didn't get suppressed by everybody else telling them what to do. You are free to create whatever it is that you want to create. It's your art. I don't care if it is an art teacher telling you like this is what you're supposed to stay away from, or an art critic, or somebody major in the art world. I don't care. They could shove their opinions up their hiney. And if I say anything that rubs you the wrong way, I could shove my opinion up my hiney. So that's it. If you want to create prints, create prints. If you want to duplicate your work, duplicate your work. If you want to have a made-to-order series, have a made-to-order series. If you don't want to have prints, don't do it. If you don't want to duplicate your work, don't do it. You decide. You decide.
Do you remember that painting, The Scream, that sold for all the millions of dollars?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that painting was one of 4.
Of 4 pieces.
And you remember those sunflowers that one artist, Van Gogh, painted?
Yes. And you've got the Gardens by Monet. You've got a lot of artists that duplicate and repeat their work. You know?
Those seem to be just fine with the art world.
Yeah. And that's it. That's it. Because this could easily turn into a rant. I have a really hard time whenever somebody else is telling somebody like, this is what it means to be an artist, and this is what it doesn't mean. You can't do this. You can do this. It's like, oh, I just want to Dude, I would love to hear your opinion on the subject, and also if you have any questions for us or anything like that, just leave them in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. You guys are totally freaking amazing. I absolutely adore you. And if you like this and you want to watch more like this, you click right over here to subscribe. And that's it for today. Say goodbye, Clee.
Good day. Good day. Good day. See how those were all goodbye, but slightly different.
Oh, God. Adios.